everyone, welcome yourselves back to the YouTube chat. I'm back with Britain's Got Talent discussions, reviews, analysis, and this is going to be the Ultimate Magician, the one-off special. It was a 2-hour show, um, multiple. I think it was 9 contestants. I'm going to run through the contestants in a minute, and then obviously the reveal of who would win the £50,000 award at the end. A mixture of BGT finalists, winners, contestants, Americans Got Talent, Asia's Got Talent, France Got Talent, and other people involved from Las Vegas. With Gabby Williams, Amanda Holden, Alicia Dixon returning for the BGT side of things, and Penn Jillette, a magician or involved in the magic world, a very famous person on his own pedestal. Stephen Mulhern returns as the host, replacing Ant and Dec in the normal formula. And ultimately, it was determined who would win the show by the audience in the crowd rather than being at home or, the judges and stuff. And I think this is one of my all-time favorite BGT shows because it highlights my favorite talent. When I watch BGT, I'm always looking for new magicians, how they can do specific things. And we got to see, people I actually liked from BGT return. So we're going to talk about the guests, we're going to talk about who and what I thought I liked about each of them, and ultimately whether I agree with who won the show. So, of course, go check it out for yourself. It's on ITV. It's a 2-hour show. So, spoilers ahead, of course, if you don't want to know who wins the show. Subscribe like as always, and I'll be back every year with BGT when it returns. The auditions are currently going on. Off screen, and obviously when they start to air them on screen, we'll talk about them. So let's dive into the contestants. Enjoy. So these aren't on the order they appeared in, but of course the first contestant was The Witch. The Witch was a performance I've never really cared about or been intrigued about. I thought it was decent, but not one of the best ones in my opinion. It could have been a lot better. We jump into second, the Clairvoyants. The Clairvoyants, I can't remember where they were from, but they did this really cool thing where they could read minds. And basically, there was this segment where the woman went underwater and she basically correctly predicted a £5 note seed number or the number. And I thought that was really cool. But these are the things that you can never know how it's done. Is it a £5 note that was planted in the crowd? Had they picked someone in particular? You never know. But ultimately, it was a cool act, nevertheless. One of the returning acts, one of the best acts I think I've seen in Magic in years, Mark Spellman, who's told. Tonight he was very mediocre, but what he did was he wrote off a perfect trilogy. The first time we saw him in 2018, it was all about his story with his kid and the connectivity that had him with his wife, his kid, and all his story on BGT, which brought in X, which brought us the second act in his story. And now tonight he was able to bring Isabella onto stage and perform a very basic act, but again, something I say basic. Everything these magicians do is fantastic, out of this world. Something we can never do as normal people, and people are always trying to predict and try and find loopholes. And in the actuality, is shut the fuck up. It's magic. Enjoy it for what it is. Respect the art and craft what these people go into. And I love. I don't think. I don't hope. I hope we don't see Mark again because he's done the trilogy. He's completed his storyline. He didn't get in the top 3 because he didn't really deserve it, but he was fantastic nevertheless. Enjoyability, entertainment factor, telling a story. And that's what you want sometimes from a magician. We jump into Mandy Mooden, who was also a Britain's Got Talent previous guest. I don't think she even got that far. She got to the live semi-finals, but I don't remember her doing that well. She's a blend of comedy and magic, and magic was very basic. Again, it was amazing how she predicted things. The whole what have you written on things? It's in the chest. Comedy timing was brilliant. The whole Magic Mike thing. I think her act was the most complete and brilliant of the night. But as magic goes, it was the weakest. That's what I would say. If she was on Britain's Got Talent and she did this act, she probably could be intended to win the whole thing because she has that pantomime entertainment factor. But ultimately not strong enough for this show. One of my favorite acts of the night, Magical Bones. I think Magical Bones was fantastic, and he did something that was just out of this world. The whole how Penn said the whole Houdini acting, where He was tied, he had the chains on, he had the neck thing on, he went into the box, then ultimately he was not in the box, and I was like, what the fuck just took place? How did he get out of the box and then his partner go inside the box without being in the chains? Stuff like that is fascinating, brilliant. And it's not just the fact that there could have been loopholes, the fact they did it so quick. He wasn't in the chains, his girlfriend was in a different outfit or partner. It was brilliant, it was excellent, it was a phenomenal thing to see, and he was one of the highlights of the night. Kevin James, one of these people, Penn was good friends with him. He's done it for 30 years. He seemed very arrogant and full of himself when the comments were going his way. It was a cool act, nevertheless, and I will never understand how the fuck he pulled it off. He did the chainsaw, he pulled someone in half. They were on this trolley, so you couldn't even see their legs. But then they put the legs back together. I don't understand how they do it. Is it because they're doing the whole CGI thing where you put dots on and you're able to edit it out or something from the visuals? Um, but I don't know how you do that for the live audience. It's such a clever way. This is what I loved about the show. There were so many different iterations of magic. You'd see the underwater stuff, you'd see the Houdini style things, you'd see the chopping people in half, you see the card tricks, you'd see the witch style things. There was so much brilliance. Each act is brilliant in their own way, but certain acts are done better because it appeals more to me. Kevin James it came across very arrogant and very meta me, but a brilliant act nevertheless that wowed me on a different scale. This was the one that was just breathtaking to watch. Eric Chane, Asia's Got Talent winner, he came on. He did something very simple. He sat down, he had a table, he put this thing down, this string, he had cards. And the way he did this, obviously, he's doing quick trick magic. And he may be the greatest person I've ever seen do it. I've not seen every magician ever, the way he would switch these cards from red to blue to red, and then he would cut them in half, and then there was half and half of each card. Then he would switch them into coins, and then these things he'd place down at the start become stickers, and then they disappear. And then he would do things so slick, his shirt turning different colors. Everything he did was on point and perfect, and it was the most simple act you probably could have ever thought of doing. But the way he performed it, and the quickness, and the ability to keep people entertained with everything going on and not notice everything that was going on, was truly brilliant. Eric Chane did the simplest act of the night, but the most brilliant act of the night. It's as simple as that. And yeah, I think the top three, who were the top three, two of them 100% deserve to be in there. And I'll talk about who the third person will be, who should have been in there once we wrapped all the character talks. Colin Cloud was very entertaining. He was doing the whole predicting into crowd and stuff. He was, it's always a tough one because he did, I think it was like bait and mouse. Then he put the two words together, and then it combined to make this person that they predicted, and then he pulled this person out of the chest and they had the fake mask on, and it ended up being person from Strictly. I thought it was all perfectly planned, but I think those sorts of things could have easily been done backstage, and you could have easily been like, oh yeah, they've already had that pre-planned, so it's not exactly amazing. But we'll talk about the last two guests, Tony and his twin. I thought it was very unique the way they did theirs, using the projector, jumping and think. The issue with theirs was it's because of the projector and they were easily just behind it. But the way they did it, throwing things out, making things appear like money and stuff, it was like things were flying out the projector like it was possible, and people would probably sit there going, is this possible? And the way they did it effectively, I thought was fantastic. For them to be twins and ultimately for us to think there was only one originally, I think they were fantastic at what they did. It was very original, very unique. I loved it, but I also didn't think it was one of the better ones of the night. But the one person who, in my opinion, thought was screwed over and didn't make it to the top three was Richard Jones. Richard Jones is one of the finest magicians I've ever seen. Yeah, I understand that his act was probably very original and basic, but Jesus Christ, I watched his art, the way he speaks, the music behind it, the way he tells a tale, the way he got Amanda involved, and the way it took a really emotional turn. It was like think of someone who, in your life, one person you think of, who you're grateful for, and then she was just basically like this woman who basically bloody saved my life. And I was just like, holy shit, I didn't think I'd be emotional on BGT. Um, Richard Jones is the best magician I've ever seen, not just for the reason of magic, but for his personality, for the person he is, and the way he conjured up the woman. Very similar to the first act. Who I just said was it Colin? That was his name. Um, they were very similar, but for me, Richard works better because he had the emotion factor. He didn't go, "Oh, I think we screwed up," and then reveal the person. I think you could tell it hit Richard very hard to see Amanda's emotion and for him to be like, ah, she's here on stage. For me, Richard should have been the top three. I wanted Richard to win ultimately. But if we're talking about the whole magical aspect, I think what he did was probably maybe third place worthy. Um, Not where the Witch should have come, and Witch did finish in the top three. But the other two was Eric Chen and Magical Bones. And when you're thinking about these two, what Magical Bones did, I think many people could do. What Eric Chen did, not many people can do. I think that's why Eric Chen did deserve the win. And obviously, because he was the winner of Asia's Got Talent, you think it was a no-brainer that he was going to win this. But I think Magical Bones did win America's Got Talent. But that's what I'm saying. I'm not taking away from anything. Magical Bones is fantastic. I'll never be able to explain in a billion years how he got out that crate without having the neck thing on, without making a noise, and his partner got inside the box. It was fucking insane. But Eric Change, quick timed magic was on a different level, a different planet. He was on a different level to everyone, in my opinion. He was the most talented. Magical Bones was the most wow factored, and I think Richard Jones was the most heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time because it was just so emotional to watch. But I think, so they're my top three. If I had to go, all the way down through the group of people, I think fourth place would be Kevin James. I think Kevin James, as I said, what he did was just inexplainable. He was fantastic, arrogant, but inexplainable. Fifth place, I think, would have to be Colin Cloud. As weird as it was, and his stage presence was a bit I think what he did and what he pulled off was very cool. Yeah, there's probably a lot more to it than we think, but I think he was fantastic nevertheless. In sixth place, think I think I'd have to put the clairvoyants. The clairvoyants were fantastic. Again, something you can never explain. It's probably an easier explanation to it, but ultimately, I'm not going to read into it. And ultimately, I think they were fantastic in what they did. Seventh place has been Mark Spellman. Mark Spellman pulled off a fantastic trilogy after his time from 2018 to 2019 to 2022. A brilliant, perfect trilogy and one of the greatest magic acts you'll ever see on the series. In eighth place, I think we're going to go with Mandy Mooden. Mandy Mooden was brilliant in her own way, comedy magician, and she had the perfect blend. And her magic trick pulled off very well. So an easy eighth place. But again, they could have all been written before the show, so it's always hard to explain. Ninth place, I'm going to go with the twins of Tony and his twin. Tony was fantastic. I love the whole project thing, and the witch comes in last. Simply because I've never got the vibe. I love the whole witch aspect. He was funny how he hugged the winner at the end, and ultimately credit to him for constantly trying harder and harder every time he came back. The Witch was very good. They were all good in their own right, but that's just the order I'm going to put it in. So ultimately, that has been our discussion on Britain's Got Talent, the Ultimate Magician. And this was a breath of fresh air. This was a show that randomly got announced. It was a show I never expected to get revealed. And I hope they do more of these, like the Ultimate Dancer, the Ultimate Singer. Or the ultimate acrobat. There's so many different categories you could do, and I hope they do a unique one every year when Britain's Got Talent is on the air. And I hope Stephen Mulhern does host it, as he's just a genuinely good guy, and he's so nice when he comes on stage. And his interactions with people, he's brilliant. He's funny, but obviously, I'm excited to see Ant and Dec return to the helm in April, I think is when it comes out. So you guys let me know down below your thoughts on Britain's Got Talent and the Ultimate Magician. Who did you think should win? And if you didn't check it out, go check it out for yourself, of course, on ITVX for the catch up. I have been Adam, and I'll see you next one. Goodbye.